Welcome to the Leadership Decoded podcast. Here, we provide you practical approaches on how to lead at your very best at work and in your everyday life. I'm your host, Dr. Will Ramey, a former U.S. Army officer and combat veteran, a current leadership and team development workshop facilitator, and executive education adjunct professor. Have you ever had an opportunity at work where you have an idea that comes across or you see somebody for the first time and all of a sudden you are anchored to the first thing that you see, the first idea that you hear? This is first impression bias, and it might be costing you high quality decisions in the long run. Today, we're going to break down how to overcome first impression bias so you can make better decisions with your team over the long haul. Let's dive in. It takes time and effort to create a high performing team. Leadership abilities is one of the most important areas to focus on for team development. Dr. Will Ramey understands the impact that leadership can have on team performance. He's led a wide variety of teams in the U.S. Army and corporate companies, from being a first-line supervisor to a senior-level leader. His programs focus on experiential learning for immediate application, transformational growth through mindset and behavioral shifts, and sustainable change to drive long-term success. If you're tired of traditional learning and development programs and are ready for a hands-on learning experience that will increase knowledge and provide practical application directly to your work environment, reach out today. Visit drwilliamramey.com to find a solution for your team. Dr. William Ramey, positive mindset, proactive approach, proven research. So here you are walking into a meeting, and within seconds, your brain has already made a snap judgment about the new hire that's sitting across from you at the table. They've got polished shoes, well-dressed, well-pressed, and they present themselves very well. You find yourself, in this exchange with all of these first impression thoughts and ideas. So the problem is the first impression may have nothing to do with this person's actual ability. So your brain is wired to make a snap judgment. We're wired for shortcuts. And when we have a very good first impression, we have to ask ourselves, how often is my first impression silently steering my decisions? Whether that be based off how we see people, whether that be based off somebody's very first project or report that they fill, we could be missing signs of underlying issues when we make those first impression snap judgments along the way. So when we think about overcoming first impressions, it comes with a couple different cognitive biases that, again, are wired in our brains to help us make shortcuts and help us move through things faster, but might be costing us better quality decisions in the long run. So as you work to reset your mindset, consider resetting your approach on leadership as well. I've created a free guide for you at drwilliamramey.com to help you gain self-awareness, reset your communication, learn how to have coaching conversations, and build influence without having authority. So this 5-step guide will show you the way. It has a companion worksheet for you to utilize to put into practice each and every day. Absolutely free, because I want to help you lead at your very best. Head over to drwilliamramey.com. Grab your free worksheet today. All right, let's get into it. First impression bias is a shortcut, but it's not necessarily a smart move. First impression bias is the tendency to make quick judgments based on limited amount of information. It's usually made within the first 30 seconds of an impression of meeting somebody or listening to somebody speak. Think about that. 30 seconds. It's not a very long amount of time, but our brains are already making these connections, these cognitive shortcuts. While it can help us process information quickly, what can help us maybe keep ourselves safer up front, making these snap judgments at work that may be absolutely unfair, untrue, or unhelpful, can really harm us in the long run when we think about quality of decisions, when we think about directions that we need to move, or who we hire, who we put in place, who we move into a leadership position. First impressions matter, but there's a lot more to those decisions than the first impression. So think of a job interview when we have a candidate who walks in confidently. They carry themselves well. They make great eye contact. They're shaking hands. They're easily sharing anecdotes about their past. Before you've even assessed them or asked them a question, your brain is already making connection and confirming what you're looking for potentially in this candidate. Your brain is already anchoring to those very first pieces of information as you start to lean into the interview. And that's known as the halo effect. The halo effect is a related bias where one positive trait shapes your entire perception of somebody. You put a halo on that person, and that perception, it's often hard to shake. So when you have that good first impression, just be cautious about how much weight you put into that. How long can that person potentially keep that up? Is it actually how they behave, or are they just a very good person in an interview? And these biases will start to build on each other. So first impressions don't just shape the present, they actually shape the future. When you have an impression of somebody, you start to look for where you can confirm that what you thought about them initially is true. This is called confirmation bias. So once we form an opinion, we unconsciously use that information to verify that opinion over time. We are seeking out evidence that supports that position that we have. Right? And in practice, what we should be doing is opening our aperture and looking for information to not only validate, but potentially prove that what we're thought about is untrue, and be open to those curiosities. So we can't just ignore pieces of information that challenge our current position or challenge our current thought. We've got to be open to that. So for example, say you believe in someone that they're a star performer based off of a great first impression. Let's say we hired that candidate who came in and shook hands and had great anecdotes and good charisma. And then later, maybe they miss a deadline. Maybe they miss their first deadline of a project. So we just brush that off. But if somebody that you didn't connect with or don't have a connection with initially makes the same mistake, are we looking at that person and saying, oh, geez, yeah, I knew they were a poor performer. I knew it all the time. They didn't come prepared, and they make that same mistake, and they're not cut out for this job. We have these patterns of behavior that are ebbing and flowing in us where we really have to look at more than one piece of information, which is difficult for us to do as leaders because time is of the essence always. We're fighting the clock constantly. So when we want to confirm something, we have to ask ourselves the flip side of the questions too. We have to ask ourselves, is this a single solitary moment, or are there other signs that I've just overlooked, and what could those be? So you take time to look at things holistically. So these patterns of confirmation bias, these patterns of first impression bias and the halo effect, they impact hiring decisions. They impact performance reviews. They impact leadership assessments. They impact everything. And it has potentially some big consequences for us in business. Poor hiring decisions, overlooking valuable ideas from somebody who may be a little bit more introverted or quiet. And the cost of letting bias go unchecked is steep. Hiring people based off charisma instead of character and performance, it can cost up to $15,000, $16,000, to go through that hiring process, plus the lost time of not having that person on board, their salary, the impact that they may have on the team. So think about hiring decisions. Think about placing people onto teams. Think about all of that information that you have access to, and are you actually accessing it when you need it? Now, studies show in finance even that an analyst's first impression of a company's performance can help shape their future projections, even if the data says otherwise. So think about that. Where are your first impressions impacting your work, not just in the people management side of things, but in the business side of things, and how you view data and how you view your key performance indicators? Are you using that data combined with other sources of information to make smarter, more effective, higher quality decisions? So here's the truth. You can actually turn off your brain's need to form quick impressions. You have to learn to pause, reflect, and choose curiosity over certainty. Here's a few things that we can do to overcome first impression bias. And the first is to pause before deciding. Challenge yourself to wait. Give yourself a period of time before making a decision. Ask yourself a question. What else do I need to know before I make this decision? Second, you can break the halo effect. If somebody makes a strong first impression, ask yourself, am I judging their whole capability based off of one conversation? And then go back to the first thing. What else do I need to know? Third, invite second impressions. Ask somebody else. If your gut says no to someone right away, give them a second chance to show up differently. Ask somebody else what their opinion may be. I like to practice. Ask somebody else, what was your view on this situation? I need to understand if I'm aligned or if my perception is off base. Well, how did you see this situation? So have those conversations with peers. Don't be afraid to open up your aperture and ask people for their opinion and their perspective, because maybe you are missing something, and chances are one of your cognitive biases are showing up in a way that might be good, but may be harmful in the long run. So remember, leadership isn't about being right. It's about being fair. It's about being clear. It's about being open to change and overcoming those cognitive biases so that you can lead at your best and you can make the best decisions for your team. Thanks for tuning in to Leadership Decoded. If you enjoyed today's episode and found value in today's episode, give us a like, download it, share it with your fellow leaders so that everybody has the opportunity to learn how to lead and be at their very best. If you want to keep the conversation going, head over to LinkedIn. You can find me at Dr. William Ramey, or on Instagram at Leadership Decoded Pod, or Will Ramey 1. And if you want to check our video version out, you can head over to YouTube on the YouTube channel and find episodes and shorts that are available to you to help you continue to learn, continue to lead, and continue to self-coach and self-develop on your leadership journey. And don't forget your free guides, drwilliamramey.com. I have several free guides that I've developed for you to help you, again, learn how to lead at your best, challenge yourself, increase your self-awareness, your emotional intelligence, have difficult conversations. Those resources I give to you for free. They're research-backed, experience-based worksheets and guides to help you lead at your very best. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Dr. Will Ramey, and I'll see you the next time you press play.